Okay. So okay.
Yeah.
We got to back up. So you're 12 or 13.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're mentioning a perpetrator.
Yep.
So explain what exactly happened. Your mom, that was addicted to crack at the time, decided to do what?
She decided to sell me. So the sale of me didn't happen until after I was raped and impregnated by him. So then when I had the baby, he took possession of me. So yeah, she took possession of me from the projects. Yeah.
Gotta pause for a second.
Welcome to The Dash. You know, The Dash is that tiny line between your life start date and end date. It's your story, the chapters in your book, your journey. Get ready for real conversations with real people telling real stories about the realities of failure, setbacks, and success. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. We're rolling. Let's go. The Dash in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dash Podcast. Ooh, today, I'm just going to tell you right now, go ahead and get your tissue out because there is a story that you have to hear. But before we get into who our guest is for the day, please do me a favor. Like these videos, comment, send them to your friends, share them, and make sure you hit the subscribe button. Please subscribe. Support the Dash Podcast, especially if you've liked any of the information you've learned or any of the interviews that you've seen so far. Our next guest is somebody that I've known for a few years. She's a very special person with a very special story. Now we have to put the word doctor in front of her name, which congratulations on that. We have Dr. Tonya Stafford-Manning.
Yes.
Thanks for hanging out with me today on The Dash.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. So, just so you know, when we call it the Dash Podcast, you know, the Dash is that seemingly insignificant line between your birth date and your death date. But that's our story.
Yep.
That's our journey. It's the things we've been through. It's the failures. It's the successes. It's the setbacks. It's all the things.
Yep.
But we tend to ignore that dash. But it's other people's dashes sometimes that inspire us to just keep going.
Yeah.
So you are the founder of an organization called It's Going to Be Okay.
Yes.
So tell everybody what that organization is.
It's Going to Be Okay is an organization that provides direct services and direct resources to human trafficking survivors and their children.
Human trafficking survivors.
Yes.
You know, people find their why sometimes from traumatic situations.
Yeah.
So tell everybody, how did you come to found or have this love in helping women who are being sex trafficked?
Because I'm a human trafficking survivor myself. So it was birthed out of my story, and particularly for those that they don't look for. And that was my story as well, which wasn't supposed to be my story. I was just a normal child growing up with her grandmother, Big Mama, and everybody have Big Mamas and Meemaws and all of that. So I was with my Big Mama for 8 years of my life before my mom said she got herself together. So it was during the crack epidemic in the 80s, and crack was running rampant, and my mom was a crack addict. And so she had 5 kids, and I was the oldest girl. So I was kind of trained to do everything that, the big ones do. So Big Mama taught me how to cook, how to clean, how to comb the girls' hair. She taught me everything. And so that's all we knew. We knew Big Mama was Mama. We see my mom on and off. You know, she ran the streets of South Dallas. So I'm from the southern sector. South Dallas, East Dallas, West Dallas, Pleasant Grove, Oak Cliff. I'm from all of them.
All of them.
And just growing up normal, and didn't think that we would be with her. And she came and said she got herself together, and we had to go with her. And we were like, why are we going with her? And she said we had to go because I have no legal right to keep you, but I'll keep in contact. And we moved to Dixon Circle. We moved to Dixon.
The projects.
Yeah, well, it's the projects then,
yeah,
too.
It's not anymore. But
but Dixon was a rough place. But we knew how to take care of ourselves. But Dixon was our beginning with her. And,
with your mom?
With my mom.
Okay.
And so we were there for a while, and then she relapsed. She relapsed because she did get herself together. She relapsed. She was working. Then she brought this man home, and he came in and said, "I'm going to be y'all new daddy." And was like, "New daddy." We were seeing our father, as my father, when he got me and my brother, because we have the same mom and dad, and he would get all of us, and he said that we weren't going to see our dad anymore. And so we didn't understand, but we know we wanted to see our dad.
How old are you at this time?
I'm like 8. I'm 8 years old, getting ready to be 9 years old, and no more seeing my dad. And then they got married. And about 3 months after that, he started molesting and raping us. And so my world changed right then and there because we didn't know abuse. All we knew was to be children, big porch. Big Mama had a big porch. We played, jacks, hopscotch. We did everything, dodgeball. So that's all I knew. So when we started getting molested and raped, it was, my world was just shaking. And I didn't know what to do because in the Black community, what goes on in here stays in here. Sure. And so we were told not to tell. And he would always say nobody was going to believe us anyway, because he would tell her that your kids are just trying to break us up, and you should be glad somebody wanted you with these 5 kids and stuff like that. And so it was like, okay, nobody's going to help us because we couldn't tell. So she would disappear for like 3 to 4 months at a time, but I knew how to take care of my siblings. So I would walk them to Joseph J. Rhodes, and then I would walk back up to Pearl C. Anderson, take them to school, but I would go to school and fight. I would fight boys because I couldn't fight him. And I would get in trouble a lot. Mr. Williams, he was the principal of Pearl C. Anderson, and he would spank me all the time. Paddling was legal, and I would just go out and just do it again. I didn't start anything, but I didn't run from nothing either.
Right.
But I was just so frustrated.
A lot of built-up anger.
Yeah, but I got good grades. I was a B student. Didn't get in any other trouble, but just fighting. Just pay me to fight your fights. Give me 50 cents. I'll go take care of the bully for you. Mm-hmm. That's because I was getting that anger out.
You little sweet.
I know. I was fighting.
And it's understandable. It was misplaced anger for sure.
It was because we couldn't tell. We just could not tell what was going on with us. And I think they knew, but in the community, you just try to keep the family together. Right. Just whatever you can do to keep the family together. So Mr. Williams would just be so frustrated with me and be like, "Oh, girl, stop." It's like, that's not going to stop me. Right. And just the bargaining was just don't send me home, because her husband was a truck driver, and he would be on the road, but he would also be at the apartment. So I would just say, just don't send me home, because if he sent me home, he had free range to me. And so that was the bargaining chip, so he never sent me home.
So this went on from age 8 to what?
10. 8 to 10. And then we got kicked out of Dixon Circle.
So from 8 to 10, you're unfortunately being molested and raped by your stepfather at the time, you and your sisters.
He would beat the boys. He would beat the boys.
Your brothers are getting beat up. But then a bad story gets worse.
Yes. So we got kicked out of Dixon Circle for no payment, non-payment of rent. And then we started going from motel to motel. 310, I can tell you where every motel is on 310, because we were there. And he would get a room for them, and then he would get a room to take us in. And so this went on until we got into projects. That was about 6 months of that, 6 months of going from motel to motel. Just in the car, motel, in the car, motel.
And a lot of people are probably asking, even right now, like, why would your mom allow this up to this point? Because she was probably aware.
Yes, she was aware.
But do you?
She was addicted to crack. She was addicted. And I also reflect back on, I don't know what was done to her either. No excuse, but I had to realize that in my adulthood is, just what was done to her. But she didn't protect us. She had no, she's had no recourse to protect us. It was like he was feeding us, he was feeding her, he was giving her drugs. They were doing drugs together. They were having these, people to come in and out of the hotel rooms and stuff like that. So they just had free range to us when we were kicked out.
So when was the moment? Because there's a part of the story where you're no longer in the care of your mom because of her relapse. Let's get to that. Because how old were you when that happened?
I was, we ended up in the projects when I was 12, getting ready to turn 13. And my perpetrator was visiting the projects. So we got in the projects. We got in Bonton, down across from the police station.
And those that don't know Bonton is also the projects, and it was
It's
rough.
the projects. It was rough. It was
Yes.
very, very rough.
Yes.
And we ended up in Bonton. You know, only thing that she required us to do was be in the house before the street lights came on. So we could do whatever we wanted to do all day long.
And you're still going to school, right?
We're still going to school. We're
Okay.
still going to school. I was in the seventh grade. I finished Pearl C. Anderson, ended up at Fred F. Lawrence,
Okay.
and going to school. And my perpetrator started coming to the projects. So he had already scoped out the projects, and I was the one. I was the one that he picked. He had inquired about my mom, her drug addiction, what choice of drugs she wanted, and the transaction started happening then. I didn't know until he raped me.
Okay. So okay.
Yeah.
We got to back up. So you're 12 or 13.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're mentioning a perpetrator.
Yep.
So explain what exactly happened. Your mom, that was addicted to crack at the time,
Mm-hmm.
decided to do what?
She decided to sell me. So the sale of me didn't happen until after I was raped and impregnated by him. So then when I had the baby, he took possession of me. So yeah, she took possession of me from the projects. Yeah.
Gotta pause for a second.
Yep.
You are how old again?
13, get ready, and then I turned 14.
You're 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Due to your mother's drug habit,
Mm-hmm.
she ends up pretty much selling you to a grown man. How old was
Yes,
he?
he was 26.
Selling you to a grown man.
Yep.
You end up having a child by him.
Yes.
How many children did you have from him?
I had 3 children, all at the hospital. He made all the medical decisions because he had possession of me.
Okay, hold on, because we're going to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Woof, Lord Jesus.
Yep.
Okay. Your mom,
Yes.
because of her drug habit, sells you to this grown man.
Yes.
Nobody comes looking for you.
Nobody comes looking for me, but I was reported missing by my sister. When he took possession of me, I'll never forget it, the day that we left. It was in July of 88. It was in July 88. It wasn't too long after I had the baby. And I was outside.
The baby that was by this grown man,
Yeah,
because he had raped you.
Yes, but I hadn't seen him. I hadn't had no contact with him. I had the baby. They hid the pregnancy because teenage pregnancy was so high back in the 80s. So I kind of blended in to where they took me to Mesquite Community Hospital where I had her. And then I came back.
And they didn't question, like...
No. They didn't question anything.
Did he go to the hospital with you?
He showed up afterwards. Nobody questioned him because it was just like visitors was coming in. My mom was there, her husband.
And if the mom is there, then obviously she approves. And so nobody's thinking that this is the result of a rape.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're 13, you have this baby, you end up going and being forced to live with the man who raped you.
Yes.
So you have been human trafficked by your own mother.
Yes. I was sold to him. Their final transaction was July of 88. And so he gave her final payment, and he gave her final drugs, whatever it was. And so she told me that I had to go with him. So her exact words were, they packed all of my stuff. My stuff was at the door, me and the baby stuff. I knew it was our stuff because the baby stuff was in there. And she said, "Bitch, you got to go. You got to go with him." And I was like, "I don't know him, so where are we going?" And she was like, "Doesn't matter, bitch, go. That's it. Just, bitch, you got to go." And so I'm in my mind, because my grandmother always told me I was the strongest one, I took a deep breath and I said, "You either going to survive or you're going to die." So when I got in the car, I was crying. I was crying because I'm trying to figure it out. Like, I'm trying to figure out what do I do? Where can I run? And when I got in the car, he slapped me. And he said, "If you don't like that, you do what I tell you to do, when I tell you to do, how I tell you to do it." the rules are going to be on the wall, and those are the rules that you follow. And they were, when I got to the first location, the rules were on the wall, and I followed the rules. And then I ended up pregnant again going into Lincoln High School. So I was able to go to school up until the 9th grade. And then he took me out because he said it was going to be too suspicious. Like, they're going to start asking questions like, where's your mama? Where's everybody? So after she sold me, she changed her number and she moved out of the projects. And I had no more contact with them for 10 years. So he kept me for 10 years.
After you were sold to your perpetrator, you kept going to school?
Up until the 9th grade. Mm-hmm.
You've already had a baby by this grown man.
Mm-hmm.
People would ask the question, why didn't you just go to a teacher? Why didn't you go to a counselor? Why didn't you run up to a police officer? Why do you keep letting this man drop you off at school every single day without you saying something?
Fear. Where was I going to go? I was a teenager, a teenage mom, no resources. And all I heard all of my life was CPS could take me and my baby and my babies. And they were my reasons for living. They really were my reasons for just breathing, to get up and continue to go, because I had these little people to worry about now. So it wasn't anymore about me. It was about just surviving, just really surviving.
Do you see what fear will do?
Yeah, fear
Even though you're
in your
looking
mind.
in the face every single day at these teachers, these people that could literally save you, people will literally... It's like having an elephant with a chain. I'm trying not to cry, with a chain around its leg, because all you can think about is, number one, I have children at the house with this man, but more importantly, what he can do to me. So your fear will literally paralyze you.
Yeah, it will keep you, it will consume you, because in my mind is I have to get back to them. Like, I have to get back to them. I have to take care of them. I have to do anything that I can do to make sure that they're not harmed. And he never harmed them. It was always the aggression and anger and the beatings I took, just so that he wouldn't take aggression out on them. And that's what I did all of those years. But people don't understand is that you can say, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you run? Why didn't you tell? Where was I going to go with no resources? And I'm still in the community.
No resources. I don't even want to use the word resources.
No,
you told me, no mama, you ain't got nowhere to run.
No,
I remember
nobody.
you telling me one time, and this hit me like a ton of bricks. You said, who was going to come look for me? Because normally when you're sold into human trafficking, when you come up missing, your mama comes and look for you. But if your mama is the one that sold you, you ain't got
me. Nobody was looking for me until I got to Pleasant Grove. Pleasant Grove was my stopping point when he got a house in Pleasant Grove. And I had the third child. I had already had the third child, but he moved us out there because it was more isolated.
And how old were you?
I was.
When you had your third baby?
I was 17. It was 10 days before my 18th birthday that I delivered, and I delivered all my children naturally because he made all the medical decisions. He said I couldn't have anything.
So when you're in the hospital, they're thinking that you're underage with this grown man in the hospital.
But they thought that he was like a dad or, a friend or something like that. They never questioned like who he was. And I couldn't tell because when I tried to, and every time I would try to tell, it would just be worse for me. So when I was delivering my second child, I was trying to tell the doctor that, I was here, he had me. And the first thing he said was, "What are you doing having all these kids?"
The doctor said that?
Mm-hmm. It was at Parkland. And I shut up because I knew that if I told and then we got out of the hospital without being known, he was going to beat me when I got home. So it was basically like 10 years, over those 10 years, all I heard was I could kill you and get away with it. I'll bury you in the backyard and I'll tell them that you ran off with somebody else and take the kids and go wherever I want to go.
Okay, so I just kind of want to recap this. You've been abused most of your childhood when your mom finally comes and gets you.
Mm-hmm.
You're 13 years old. Because she has relapsed and gotten back on crack, she sells you to a grown man.
Yep.
that you end up having to drop out of school in the 9th grade.
Mm-hmm.
You literally have 3 children
Yep.
by your perpetrator.
Yep.
How did you get out? And then I want us to help parents, because this is going on every single day in our high schools.
Yep.
Our young Black girls, and you're telling me now boys, everything are being perpetrated, like they're literally being groomed. So
Yeah.
how did you finally get out? And then I want to move into how we can help others avoid this situation.
Well, I was rescued by my neighbor. She seen something, she said something, and she did something. So all of the years that she was there, keep in mind, I couldn't talk to anybody. I wasn't able to make eye contact with anybody. So he talked for me. He did everything. And
you looking like a baby. He looking like a grown man.
Yeah.
You got these 3 kids. They probably wonder why you're not going to school
and
every
that's
day.
what she noticed. And so she noticed that I was, young, and she kept speaking to me. She kept speaking. She would speak every day. And I thought she was crazy, because I was like, she's speaking, I never speak back. But in the back of my mind, I would just say, somebody will save me. Somebody will know that I'm here. Somebody will see me. And then after that, it was this one particular time I forgot to cut the yard, forgot to take the trash out, because I was busy with the children. And he came home and he beat me. And that day I couldn't walk. And so I was taking the trash out, and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And it was my chance, because she wouldn't stop speaking to me. And I just figured if I just tell her, maybe she would help me. And if she didn't help me, that maybe she would tell somebody else. And I told her, she asked me how long had I been there. I told her I really didn't know, and I just counted the years. And then she was like, "Where's your mama?" And I said, "She's the one that sold me." And then she said, "I can help you." I was like, I thought she was crazy. I was like, "Can't help me. Nobody can help me." Because he already told me he's going to kill me here. And that's where I was at. Like, he's going to kill me. And I just prepared myself to die, because in between all of this, he was taking me to church every Wednesday and Sunday. And I tried to tell them too. And they told me, the first lady, she's dead now, but she told me that I should have been glad somebody had bought me, because if he didn't, it would probably be worse for me. And that's what I was living with. But she stood up for me. She the neighbor, yeah, my awesome neighbor. I talk about her all the time, because she's my shero. She's my mama. She's my sister. She's my friend.
You still know her to
I
this day?
still do. We talk. We talk, because she was everything to me. So the day that she rescued me was the day that he almost killed me. So it had gotten really, really violent, to where he had already told people he was going to kill me, and nobody reported it. And so the day that he almost killed me is the day that she rushed in to save me.
Did she call the police, or did she?
She did call the police. She called the police on her way over. And I tell this story because that was the first time I ever seen her cry or in fear, because he choked me. He choked me unconscious, and I could hear my kids crying. I could hear the kids. And my bargaining was, just let me go put them up, and then I'll come back and let you kill me. And he said no, and he started choking me unconscious. And I just remember just going out, and when I opened my eyes, I heard her calling me. But I could hear my kids in the back of everything, because I just didn't want to die in front of them. And she was calling me, and she said, "Tonya, Tonya, Tonya, you don't get to die today." And I opened my eyes, and she was crying. And I was like, "What happened?" And she was like, "You're going to die here." So, the police came, ambulance came, everybody came. And then I looked up, and she had a gun. So I was like, "Well, what are you doing with a gun?" And she was like, I was coming to save you. I was coming to help you." And so then I was like, "Well, where is he at?" And she was like, "He ran out the door." And I was like, "Well, why you didn't shoot him on the way out the door?" And she's like, "I couldn't do that." And she's like, "Because your kids will remember me killing their father, no matter how they got here, no matter anything, that was still their dad." And I had to live with that as well. So I just got to that point where it was like, okay, I'll make it out of this. And with the help of her, I did. So they took me to a safe house. Safe house was in Irvin Safe House, and it was called New Tomorrows. My new tomorrow began then. So I asked her, why did she name it New Tomorrow? She said, because yesterday was yesterday, and today is a new day, and today is a new tomorrow, and you get a new tomorrow. No matter what happened yesterday is a memory, but today was a new day. And so my new tomorrow started with them, and I was put in therapy. I love therapy, as you know.
Yeah.
I love therapy. I go every week, still to this day. I go to therapy because different things happen in your life. I love therapists. So that really saved my life.
Yeah,
it really saved my life, and being around other women. And the one thing that I can always say is that my neighbor, she gave me, when she poured everything into me, she gave me love, sympathy, empathy, and compassion. I didn't know anything else. I don't know jealousy. I don't know envy. I don't know strife. I don't know any hatred. I don't know any of that. I don't hate my mom. I don't hate him. I forgave them for me. And that's what she told me. Because I was bitter and hateful toward them at one time. And I basically said, you know what? She told me, she said, you can keep harboring all this unforgiveness. And it's like drinking poison, hoping the other person die. And I forgave. And she said I couldn't do what I do now today. And that's rescue, restore, and rebuild, and provide direct services to those that look like me. I provided to everybody. I provide to everybody. Let's get that straight.
Right.
I provide services to the LGBTQ, white, black, Asian,
But you're
Hispanic.
looking for the ones that nobody's looking for.
Yes.
You rescue the ones that nobody's
Yep.
looking for.
Yeah.
I told y'all her why is just
Yeah. And I provide the direct services to them. I house them and their children. I go to court with them when their perpetrators are being prosecuted. I do all of that. So I'm their advocate. I'm their cheerleader.
you were everything that you needed at that time.
Yes.
And maybe that you didn't receive at that time.
Exactly.
You
I got it from my neighbor. She provided that for me, and that's what she imparted in me, to go out, and she told me she didn't save me to sit on it. And so I had to reach back and get somebody else and show them the way and get them on their ways. And that's what I do today.
you turn your pain into purpose.
I did. My freedom, I gained my freedom.
So I do want us to help parents right now that are missing the cues and the clues.
Yeah.
But I do want to ask you this. I have to. Where is your perpetrator? Because he's still the father of your children.
My kids are all grown now,
Okay.
so he's still out.
He's free?
He's
Did he ever
free.
go to jail?
They did not. The statute of limitation, when I went to court, when I went to trial, we had a trial, and the trial happened on November the 27th, 1996. I just turned 23, and I was told that the statute of limitation had ran out that day. And so they issued me protective orders, and they walked out of court, and they were, their church folks was there too. They had came to testify against me to say how great of a parishioner he was and all of this other stuff. And they walked out of court. My mom admitted to what she did. Everybody admitted to what they did. But since the statute of limitation had ran out, there was nothing anybody could do. And he was granted visitation rights. And I was afraid to violate any court orders because I didn't know any better.
So you had to let your kids go with him.
Mm-hmm, he was supervised visits. Mm-hmm.
Is he still the same person?
I don't know. I never talked to him again. I didn't have any.
For the court to tell you the statute of limitations, and that is like kicking a person while they're down.
Yep.
I'm so sorry.
I got the protective orders, which that wasn't doing too much, but I gained those protective orders, and the judge told me he was sorry. That sorry wasn't doing it for me because I was angry then. That's why I was very angry because nothing happened to them.
Yeah, I'm sure it took you many, many years to get past that anger.
It did.
And forgiveness happens over and over and over again.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. And so I didn't have any more contact with them. The kids are grown now. My kids are 34, 32, 30, and I have a 25-year-old.
And they're doing good?
Oh, yeah. They are amazing. We got one in grad school. She's getting ready to get her master's, the 25-year-old. She's not a part of that. The 3 oldest ones, that's by him. One stays in Atlanta, and then the other 2 are here. I have a veteran son. My oldest son is a veteran. So yeah, they all graduated at the top of their classes.
Wow.
So I parented to the best of my ability and made sure that I protected them at all costs. So that's what I did with my life. I just turned what I gained into doing what I knew to do, and that was taking care of my children.
So you and I have had a conversation before. There are young teenage girls, even younger, honestly.
Older women too.
That are being groomed. So let's talk about what are some of the signs. I want you to look, this is your camera. I want you to look in that camera. And let's first talk to the parents, and then we'll get into the rest. What is happening in the schools, and what should the teenagers and the parents be aware of and looking for to keep from this same being a victim?
Okay. So the signs are, if your child is coming home with unexplained things, new shoes, new iPhones, unexplained money, different things like that, they are being groomed to be trafficked. Sometimes they have rings in the schools, like I told you before.
Trafficking rings.
Trafficking rings in the school. You have girls that are recruiters, and they're not trying to be recruiters. They have no other choice but to recruit, because if they don't recruit, then they'll get in trouble. So we do know that the top recruiters, they're often called the bottom bitch. So the bottom bitch, and I'm not calling them a bitch. That's what they call them, because they have, they've gained their trust, and so they're called the bottom bitches. So even in school, they're the bottom bitches, and they look for the signs of the vulnerabilities of, this child might be isolated, or they have problems at home, or my mama make me sick. That's the number one. They go to tell them why their mama make them sick. And some kids don't have problems. It's just, oh, she took my phone, or she did this, or she did that. But they're looking for those vulnerabilities so that they can get in and replace what they think they're missing. So, okay, well, we'll give you a new iPhone.
Come hang out with us. So now they're just being friends right now.
That's going to become your family. They're going to become your family.
Or you see the kid that has some shoes that may be busted. They're not the new Jordans. They're like, I can hook you up with some new shoes. So they bring them some new shoes.
Yes. And so they're not really understanding that they're going to have to do something for those new shoes, or that new watch, or that new iPhone,
Louis Vuitton purse,
or whatever, a bundle of hair. You'd be surprised, a bundle of hair. And also, parents, start checking your children's phones, because the thing is that it's a lot of hidden things that's in the phones. There's an app that's called the calculator. The calculator hides things behind it. It looks like a calculator. Calculator that they use for school, but it's hidden messages in there. Like, they can hide numbers in there. They can do a lot of things behind calculator. So start checking their phones, and stop saying, oh, this their privacy. Nobody have privacy in my house. So the thing is check the locations. If they don't need to be sharing their locations with anybody but their parents. That's the number one thing, is that tell them to turn off those locations. They're not just sharing it with you, then they are sharing it with somebody that they don't need to be sharing with. Snapchat, Instagram, they are being DM'd. They are being DM'd a lot. A child like 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, I wouldn't even say, I wouldn't even let them have Instagram or all these social medias. Snapchat, oh, well, they don't have on their location. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, because if they're being followed by people that they don't know, they become victims and they are vulnerable. It doesn't matter how good you've taught them, but to teach them other means of turn off your location. Don't talk to strangers. You'd be surprised. They're just talking to people because, oh, you fine. Or, I noticed that you're trying to be a model, or you trying to, get this makeup stuff off the ground, all this. Let me help you. Let me help you. I'm going to fly you to New York. And then, then I'm going to tell you how to get out from under your parents' thumb. So just walk out the door, go down the street, and somebody will pick you up. Or get away. I'll get you an Uber to the airport and just go there, and they'll have your ticket there. It's a one-way ticket. They're not coming back. That's what they do. It's a one-way ticket. If they're in another state, they're getting one-way tickets. You have to be vigilant. You have to check. Foster children are really susceptible to a lot of trafficking.
For that love and acceptance,
yes.
and friends, and
yes.
a family.
And a lot of foster kids are in the school, so they're vulnerable. And if you're not watching out for yours, you can't watch out for somebody else's, but watch out for somebody else's as well, because the foster kids, they have no means of family or support or anything.
And it goes back to what you said. It's like, if somebody gets me, who's going to look for me?
And nobody's going to believe you. They're groomed to say, nobody's going to believe you.
Yeah.
You can tell all you want to. You better go out there, just like the CPS worker that the girl caught on camera. You need to prostitute in Houston. You need to prostitute.
Yeah,
this goes on a lot of time. This goes on a lot. That's the first time that somebody's captured it. Yeah. But just imagine the ones that haven't been captured.
Yeah. So let's go back to the schools really fast. So let's just say all of a sudden, you have this girl that doesn't even realize she's doing the grooming, but she's being trafficked. She's getting this person the new shoes, the new this, the new that. How does that happen where all of a sudden they're in on the ring? Is it come hang out with me, let's be friends, and the next thing you know,
they're recruiting, because they got to go recruit for what they're doing. So it just turns into a ring of the vulnerability is there.
And so now you start to get used to all these gifts. You want to be the popular girl or boy, because it's happening to boys.
And money is happening to boys. Boys are not talked about. Like 33% of boys are trafficked, and that's not talked about. Yes, that number is high. Yes, ma'am. 33% of boys are trafficked.
And are these kids going home every day to their parents, or are they like being snatched and stolen and kidnapped?
Sometimes it's snatched, stolen, and kidnapped, but a lot of times it's when they go over to somebody's house. That's why you shouldn't let your children go to everybody's house. You really shouldn't, because you don't know what lies behind those doors. You have to be so careful with where your children are going, who they're with, who they're talking to, because you might be a nice parent, but others are not nice parents. And what's lying on the other side of that door, you never know what's lying on the other side of that door.
And if something happens, it goes back to the thing of, if they were threatened, they may be too scared to speak on it.
I'm going to kill your mama. I'm going to kill your daddy. I know where your sister go to school. I know where your brother go to school. I know where you live. So when you leave out of here, you better not say a word. That's what my perpetrator would say. Nobody gonna believe you. Who gonna believe you? Who gonna believe you? You're just a nobody.
My gosh.
You're just a nobody. You're nothing.
Yeah.
You're not smarter than me.
Yeah.
That's what he would tell me. You're not smarter than me. You can't outsmart me.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. You can't outsmart me. You can't outthink me. But one thing that my grandmother always told me, and I will carry it to my grave, is, Tonya, they can do whatever they want to do to your body. But if they get this,
that's it.
That's it. So I protected this at all costs. So when he was beating me, when he was raping me, and when he was sticking me with safety pins, and when he was doing all kind of things to me, the one thing that I said is, you can't have my mind. Because if he broke my mind, then he would break my spirit. And I couldn't allow that, because I had those kids. And I didn't want to be crazy. Now, there's nothing wrong with being crazy. There's nothing wrong with being mentally ill. It's just the help that you get. I was told I'm just that percentage, that 3% of the ones that don't split. And so I protected my mind. I would go somewhere else. Like, everything became my friend. And my therapist tell me this story. Like, there was this guy that was in Africa. He was in prison. And so how he survived was the bugs became his friends. Everything became his friend around him so that he wouldn't lose his mind. So TV was my friend. I watched The Cosby Show. I watched Family Matters. I envisioned myself being, a happy life, a happy wife, and all of this. And so that's what I took in. And so he couldn't break my spirit as far as, what he was doing to me. But they break those children's spirits, the children that don't have anybody, the ones that they don't look for. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about you. Nobody gonna come looking for you. I'm just gonna you do what I do, and nobody will care.
Yeah,
and it's tough. I mean, I lived like that for 10 years.
Jesus.
But I'm here today.
And let me tell you, every time I see Tonya, Dr. Tonya, you are always smiling. And it's so funny. I was just talking about this to a friend. We are always complaining, and we have no idea what other people have been through. And the fact that you have used this absolutely traumatic, horrible situation to go back and rescue girls. Mm-hmm. And you see it day in and day out. Let me tell you, I've actually met one of your victims one time. She came to a program that we had. And it was the same thing. She literally went to Austin for South by Southwest. She ended up, I guess, getting separated from some friends. She found some other girls that she was hanging out with, and they seemed really cool. They were all in the car. She didn't realize when they picked her up that it was what do you call the perpetrator? It was the pimp.
It was the pimp.
And so
got
now
in the car and
got in
stuck.
the car, and now you stuck.
You stuck. And
she's just like, wait, what? I didn't sign up for this. It don't matter if you sign up for this.
Don't matter.
These girls gonna beat you up. I'm gonna beat you up. You in it now.
You
and
in
so
it
literally,
now.
This girl looks up, and from just hanging out at South by Southwest, she became trafficked. That fast, y'all.
For years.
I'm talking about that fast.
For years. And in that particular survivor is graduating out the program.
Wow.
She has a living wageable job. They all do. We require them to save at least $16,000 to $20,000. So she saved up $16,000.
Wow.
She's getting her apartment on the 1st. We fully furnish their apartments, and everything essential so that they can have that cushion. So this is what we do. This is why I love what I do. I freaking love what I do every day, because I get to see their journeys. I get to see their children. I watch her children grow. So it's an amazing journey. I have another one. She's a surgical tech. And she saved up $20,000. So they're flying. They get to fly. Put them in parenting classes. They are required to go to therapy. And then if they need schooling, we partner with City Square, where they give them GED courses and teaches them how to do customer service and stuff. So she's a customer service agent making some money.
Yes.
So I'm so proud of her. Like, I'm so proud of all of them. They're my babies. They are the reason why I get up, and they're the reason why I do smile. Besides my husband and my kids, I'm just, I looked at it like this. I could stay a victim, or I could survive and thrive. I chose to survive and thrive.
Yeah.
That's what I chose to do. I didn't want to be a victim. I didn't want woe is me, poor me. No, what happened to me, I was forced to have children. I was forced to, do a lot of things, but I was forced to I could let that define me, or I could just take that and use that to help somebody else. So my story I share for all the victims that have been molested, raped, and abused, that it's okay. So people say, well, why do you do that? You hear that? Because of the silent victims. You're quiet. He's quiet. They're quiet. I speak for them. I speak for those that can't speak for themselves. That's why I do it. And I love it. I freaking love this job. It's not even a job. It's my purpose in life.
Your purpose, your
it's my
passion.
purpose and my passion in life is to give them a stable place for them and their children to lay their head, a safe space where they can heal. Because I always tell them they don't want to. They were abused as children, but then you're getting women. So then you'll get the abused, bitter, broken women. And I didn't want that for them. I just didn't want that for them. I healed. I walk in healing. Healing is every day. It hurts to heal.
Yeah.
It hurts to heal. And healing hurts like hell.
Yes, it does.
Healing is uncomfortable.
Healing is uncomfortable. So sometimes you just rather stay stuck in the pain. Because
it's so uncomfortable.
It is. Healing is uncomfortable. That is so good. This is why we avoid going through the process of healing. This is why people avoid going to therapy. This is why people avoid facing these horrible situations because it is easier to stay stuck.
It is.
It is easier to stay stuck.
And I had to push through all of that pain.
Yes.
I had to push through everything and then say, and then I was free.
Amen.
I was free after pushing through all of that damn pain and suffering. He could not take my life. He didn't take my life, but he could not take my spirit.
Yeah.
I chose to say, I am here surviving, thriving.
And so now you free other women. So if there's somebody watching, again, the name of her organization is It's Going to Be Okay, because it is going to be okay.
Yes.
So if there are parents, adults, boys, girls, men, women that have questions,
you can reach out to me.
how do they get in contact with you?
So you can follow me, Tonya_survivor.activist. Also, www.igtbok.org. It's the acronyms for It's Going to Be Okay. And I also have Tonya Stafford.com. So you can reach me on those. And then also 469-859-2180 is our office number. If you want to reach out, I do speak all over the world. Also, you can find me on YouTube. I think it's at over 1 million views now. China 8 did my story. I also have a documentary out called Be the One with the Attorney General. My book will be coming in a couple of months.
Things. You can't tell me all the things.
So I'm excited about that. We can ready to have a gala for the organization. So the Hope and Pearls Gala is in January.
Okay.
January is Human Trafficking Prevention Month. As you know, that's the bill that I got passed.
Yes.
House Bill 2290, making the state of Texas, make aware January for Human Trafficking Prevention Month. So I'm excited about that and the upcoming things that we have coming up. So
I love it.
Just keep in touch with us,
Of course.
DM me. I do answer sometime, and then somebody else runs my page, so they answer for me too.
Yes.
But I will get to
Ask
them.
the questions. If you see something, say something. If her neighbor wouldn't have said anything, you would have. Who knows what would happen? You may not even be here today. If you see something, say something. We got to cut out this thing where that's not my business.
Yes.
It is your business.
It is.
If something in your spirit, if you have discernment in your spirit and you're like, this doesn't look right, say something, speak up.
There's a text number. You can get it off the website. So the Human Trafficking Hotline, you can contact the Human Trafficking Hotline. All of the above. So go to my website. You can get all of that from there.
TonyaStafford.com.
TonyaStafford.com and then igtbok.org. We also accept donations, because we provide and support. We need diapers. We need wipes. We need baby bottles. We had an emergency to come up at one of the court hearings. One of our victims came in. She didn't have any diapers, any wipes, any bottles. And the baby wouldn't stop crying. Yeah. So I had to make a detour to go down to Lusterix and make sure that the baby got fed. So different things like that. There's always a need in all the websites on our websites is the addresses that you can send things to. The donate button is there. We are out here. I'm in the trenches, and of course, I love the trenches. It's kind of crazy to people, but I love the trenches. Like the trenches is where it's at, and I am safe. So I want people to know that. How are you doing this? I'm armed at all times, and I'm armed right right now. So I'm armed at all times. I love it. I have a great security team. When we go out to rescue, they are amazing men that get involved. I love it. Like, I freaking love it.
Well, we love you, and we
Thank
appreciate
you. I love you.
and I appreciate you not sitting in your pain, but that you're using your pain to now save others.
Yes.
And be the person that you needed when you were 13 years old. So I love you, Tonya. I
love
appreciate
you
you.
too.
Continue to keep up the great work.
I will.
And again, y'all hit her up, TonyaStafford.com. You've heard all the other ways you can contact with her. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you want to know, you got to reach out. Ask the questions. Ask the questions. Adults, kids, teenagers, ask the questions because it's happening right in your backyard a lot.
Yes.
This is happening a lot. Thank you, Tonya. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm so proud of you too. Thank you.
Thanks for the support. Make sure you subscribe to the Dash Podcast YouTube channel. Also, we're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. And feel free to share with some family and friends. Thanks, guys.